Welcome back to Sunrise, proudly brought to you by Tigo. Smile, you got Tigo, Ice Cool Mineral Water, and Paba Cosmetics. Before the commercial break, I said when I return, I'll be looking at Contempt of Court and its impact on the work we do in the media and journalism. I have with me in the studio a very good friend of the media and a healthy friend of making sure that we understand the law. Maxwell Opoku Ajiman, Senior Lecturer, Ghana School of Law. Maxwell Opoku Ajiman, you are welcome.
Thank you very much.
That is very, let me wish you a happy new year too.
Same to you.
Thank you. Maxwell, now we know the role of the media. Others will tell you that it is the fourth estate. In effect, we're trying to create the impression that they have an important part to play in national development. There's our part with our limits.
Well, thank you. Freedom of expression is one of the cardinal principles for any democratic state. It's very, very vital for democratic development and for constitutional development. So, and the media, we can say, give meaning to freedom of expression, because as I sit here, I may have certain things to say, but within the confines of my room, nobody will hear it. So you give meaning to freedom of expression. But with all fundamental rights, or with all rights that we enjoy, we have no absolute rights. All rights are limited by laws, regulations necessarily required for the peace, order of the state, national health and security. So, of course, even though the media is very, very important, and I think that we always have to encourage it, but we also have to realize that at the back of it is that we must be responsible. We must also know that we don't enjoy absolute freedom, but rather we enjoy our freedom consistent with the same constitution that gives us the right. Most often we talk about the right without referring to our responsibilities. The two should always go hand in hand, because the framers of the constitution, yes, recognize that we are important. But of course, if we also allow the media unfettered freedom, I can assure you the consequence may also not be very good for the country. So that is, but I am also a person who also does not believe in using the so-called laws necessarily required to limit unduly the enjoyment of our freedom. So the balancing act in making all these arguments, we all have to be, because we have maybe two evils. One may be better than the other. You see, and therefore, in trying to cure one evil, we should not create a monster. You see, should not create a monster, as an Indian Supreme Court justice would say, in trying to cure a disease. The cure should not be worse than the disease.
Than the disease itself.
Yeah.
Right, and so then let me ask this question. Do you therefore think that when the media, a media person, a journalist, steps or faults the law, is it warning, caution, or punishment? Which one would you think is appropriate?
You see, as a law teacher, I know that most often 1 + 1 is not always 2, because 1 + 1 can be 1, and therefore I may not have a mathematical answer
to this.
You know, I always don't give mathematical answer, because this is science of law is different from chemistry.
Yes.
You see, but it depends on the case.
Okay.
Depends on the grievousness of the case. It can be. Even in our Criminal Offences Act, we have grades of offences. So sometimes what you have done may be a misdemeanor, and a misdemeanor may be a warning, a bond, a fine, or maybe what you have done amounts to a second-degree felony. I can't sit here and say just a warning, because you have to be, the punishment should be commensurate with the offense.
Yeah.
And if the misbehavior of a media person amount to a treasonable offense. I can't sit here and say a fine, a warning. Treason is a treason and must be punished accordingly. But whatever it is, what I'm trying to say is that at the grade, the act will determine the punishment.
Now that brings the focus to the issue why we're here: contempt of court. We are now in a period in the country where we have a political party had gone to court. NPP had gone to court, specific so that everybody would understand. NPP had gone to court. They have filed, challenging the results the EC had declared, and therefore challenging the status of the president as he had won the elections. Now, yesterday we also heard, I don't know if it's already filed, but the General Secretary of the PNC, Bernard Mona, has also gone to court challenging that, looking at the CI 74. That it is not consistent with the Constitution. Now, at what stage in these very technical issues that the people in the streets would want information on, at what stage can we comment on to avoid contempt of court?
Well, having been a journalist, maybe I'll start from a journalistic background, because these days my view of journalism in this country is that there's a mixture of facts and opinion.
An opinion.
We don't know what is news and what is an opinion. That's where a lot of contempt issues will come in. Because if somebody files a petition or a writ, I can sit here and explain to you the difference between a petition, the difference and a writ, the difference between a person and a citizen. I can sit here and discuss. You see, but immediately I step into the matter, discussing all the lot of things, or even making pronouncement. That is where you'll be heading towards contempt of the court. Because, you see, contempt is a tool, it's a common law provision, in fact, but we have adopted it. If you go to Article 1912 of the Constitution, we have saved it in the Constitution to allow the protection and the dignity of the administration of justice. So that is in Article 1912. So whoever says maybe...
Will they therefore not be creating a monster as well?
No. That's why I said that in enjoying your freedom, the same law which says you have a freedom of expression provides under the fair process. Okay. Under the fair process provision in Article 19, we have 1912. And then when you go to the Criminal Offences Act, Section 10, contempt has been saved as a common law offence. So it is there. What is contempt? It can be a direct contempt or indirect contempt. The basis of contempt is not to allow people to scandalize the court or disobey or bring the court into disrepute. So direct, for example, you go to court, there's a proceeding going on, maybe involving a child. A child's identity should not be disclosed for the protection of that child, juvenile trials. Then you are a journalist. You sit in there, the court gives an order. Nobody should give out the name of the victim. You are an enthusiastic journalist. You believe in the truth. So the name is Bosompim. You come out and publish the name Bosompim. Of course, what you have done is not a lie. In fact, the name is Bosompim. So you have stated the fact, but you are in contempt of court. That is why, if you remember, one day the current Speaker of Parliament says, in certain matters, truth is immaterial. In contempt proceeding, yes, the name you publish is the truth.
But it's immaterial.
Immaterial. So when we say that, doesn't mean that lawyers are always telling lies. No. A judge says, don't publish this. If you publish the truth, and it's against the order of the court, it's a contempt. That is direct contempt. You have disobeyed the orders of the court, of a competent jurisdiction. And that is one. That one is direct. You go to court, anytime you hear order in court, you decide. You are transmitting the news. But there's an order in court. You are transmitting. And therefore, you are making noise.
So you are doing a stand-up in the courtroom, you are going to hide in the corner, then you'll be talking in low voice. Right?
Yes.
You are disturbing the court.
You are disturbing the court, you are scandalizing the court, you are bringing the court into dispute. It may be a direct contempt. In that case, you don't say, well, the interest of my listeners or the public. The interest of justice is also important. That there should be that serene atmosphere, that respectful atmosphere in court, for us to hear the proceedings. You can't say because the media is whatever is important. No, we will not allow it. That is a direct contempt. Be given an order, stop this thing. You flout it. That one, there's a direct proceeding going on. You do it in the presence of the court immediately. Immediately, you'll be cited for contempt. No matter who you are, that is direct. Indirect is where, as we sit here, we are not in the court premises. But if I should go and delve into a case which is a matter sub judice, expressing opinion as if determining the outcome, and I can look at the probabilities. I can look at the probabilities. Looking at this, in my view. But if I start making the way things are going, you can even look at the judge's face. As for these judges, sometimes because of even the land case, we hear that they have been offered some lands. That you start making this kind of comments outside the court premises here. It's indirect contempt, because then you are scandalizing the judges, and the judge is an embodiment of the court. So if I sit here and make disparaging remarks about judges in the performance of their duties, cases pending before them, you may think it's your opinion. Yes, your opinion must be based on facts. And therefore, if you are unable, you'll be held before court. They will allow you to extricate yourself. If you fail, because contempt is a quasi-criminal matter, you may go to jail.
You may go to jail.
You may.
Right. When you were talking about the direct one, you said what? If, for example, there's an order in court, and then I am an active, enthusiastic TV reporter, I stand in the corner and I want to do a stand-up, so I'm doing a stand-up talking to my station, and then I'm cited, contempt. That time, would I be no warning? I could be cited for contempt, no warning, and then I can have a fine or go to jail.
Well, it depends on your behavior. It depends on your behavior, because your behavior will determine the sanctions.
The sanctions, yeah.
Yeah, because there are people, even when you see, sometimes you are immersed, they will make the order. You realize that the order is directed at you, because what you are doing has been identified. And so they say, hey, order in court. Then you insist. You insist, because, you see, as a journalist, I should say that we should not grow beyond what
what's expected of us.
It seems sometimes you also think that we are untouchables. And if you believe in that untouchability, and then when you go to court, you'll be shown your proper place. But I keep on saying, I am not a person who want the abuse of the processes of contempt to stifle freedom of expression. But I can also not sit here to advocate unbridled display of contempt behavior in the presence of court, because I believe that, yes, you say disclose your source. Yes, you sit here, you make disparaging remarks, scandalized statements, and when you say, well, I'm protecting my source. If the court order you to disclose and you fail to disclose, you may pay.
Right. Now let me ask this question. Now we're looking at the strengths and the importance of the court. Now, the court and the population, which one is big? The court will say, that the journalist is saying that the people need this information.
Of course.
So I'll give. And then the court says that I am saying you don't give. The court and the people.
You see, by the time you get to the people, you may be in prison. You see, that is what you must realize. By the time you leave the courtroom and get to the people, because don't forget, the people cannot come there and take you and rescue you away. So you better respect the court. You better respect the court. That's why I'm saying that I am not here advocating the abuse of the contempt process. I'm also not here to speak against promoting judicial accountability. That if in our view, there are things that we need the courts also, because the court is also not above, they are also under the Constitution. So I'm not, they have to be accountable. In fact, I remember one judge even saying in the case of the 31st December case, he says, when the Republic versus Mensah Bones, he said, you cannot command respect if we don't do the right thing. And people use what we have done, the wrong things we have done against us, we should not abuse the contempt process to stifle them or punish them. That was one of the most celebrated contempt cases in Ghana, the Republic versus Mensah Bones. Yes, some of the judges took issue with their own and said, well, yes, we cannot be scandalized, but what if we have committed a scandal?
Yes, the truth should come out.
Yes, the truth should come out. It should come out. But how are you doing it? If you have something against somebody making a statement, say so. But to bundle the whole judicial system and say that, yes, they are all corrupt, look at what happened, then you are not discussing even the case. You are discussing personalities. And you are scandalizing them. And that is an
indirect. And so you are a professional. And you are a lawyer, a professional, and a law teacher. Now, how do we make sure that society respects the court?
You see, I believe that most Ghanaians respect the court. Most Ghanaians. Because as we speak, if you go, the courts are filled with people. They still have confidence in it. It is up to us, those of us who have the medium to speak. See, we communicate, the mass media, we communicate, and sometimes we substitute our views with that of the public, make it seem that the whole public is against the judiciary. I believe strongly that we still have the integrity of the judiciary. As I sit here, I believe in the integrity of the judiciary. Of course, in any household you may find a bad nut, but we should not allow these scenes also to scandalize the whole system. It is the duty of you and I to make sure that we do not, when people, anytime you find people, maybe sitting here in your studio, attempting or trying to scandalize the court. I am happy with us. Anytime a statement is coming, which in your view will bring the system into disrepute, you must raise the bar and insist on evidence. If the person insists, I am not prepared to disclose, I have my source. If I were you, you have to stop him and say, until you produce the evidence. See, once we are able to do that, we don't sit here and allow people to make scandalous statements and walk away with it. Once we are able to do that, we will protect the integrity, because without the judiciary, let me tell you, there are three arms of government. Two are politicians. Politicians, sure. Yes. The CJ, the Chief Justice have been there in the previous administration. They've gone. New administration is coming. The Chief Justice will be there. Another until she is 70. So she will always be there to protect us. That's why the Constitution says she will be there. The judges will be there to protect us. The parliamentarians will go after their fourth term, they will be voted out or they may be retained, but the judiciary remains. And if we do not protect the judiciary, where will we go to?
When there is any problem.
When there was an election, when the parliamentarians and the others were jostling for power and when the judiciary was sitting. So that if anything should happen, you go to a parliamentarian, he's going for campaign. The judge is still sitting there. And you sit on radio and you saw them. And then when you are in trouble, where will you go to, Parliament or the presidency? Let us protect the judiciary.
The judiciary. Now, the next question I want to find out. Sorry. When we say public opinion and then court of competent jurisdiction, public opinion and then a court of competent jurisdiction, what is your view? when do you consider that, as for example, a journalist, where do I put in my strength? So my strength, public opinion, huge, 24 million Ghanaians, court of competent jurisdiction, CJ, and then.
You see, when it comes to justice, it's not majority rule. You see, that is the problem people have. When it comes to justice, it's not majority rule.
Yes, we don't vote there.
It's a legal sense that rules. So it's not the 24 million that matter. The 24 million people, children, parents, have given those people that you see there by the constitution which we drafted. You've given them those powers. It's a court of competent jurisdiction to be the arbiter of all controversies. So when there's a controversy, we don't go and solicit the views of 24 million. We solicit the views of the umpire who sits at the court. That's why we say. So to me, well, public opinion, you can sample your public opinion, but it is not the majority. Yeah. That's why when the case is being determined, we don't seek the opinion. We don't go sampling. If you should go sampling cases, each case, like these cases that you have mentioned, let's go and sample. And then based on the sample results and the opinion that we get, then the judges should say 50-40.
50-40.
You don't do it that way.
That's right.
It is the aggregate of the cogent evidence that you produce, and how you are able to convince the court with your evidence, not with the person who shouts loudest, not with the person who lines up thousands of witnesses, because it is about quality of evidence, not quantity of it. So you may have 1,000 witnesses, I may have one. You may think that 1,000 against one, the court should go with 1,000. But what about if all the 1,000 people are all pathological liars? They are all liars. They lack credibility. They are inconsistent. That one person is credible. It is not majority.
It's not majority.
No.
I think lawyer Maxwell Opoku-Agyeman, the next time we'll come in here, you mention the word lying, pathological liars, and so therefore it means it will look like perjury. But so the next time you come in, a huge one will look at perjury and see when would you say somebody has lied to the court. But let me now take the next question I have on the same contempt issue. My whole issue is about effective media work to promote the democracy of this country. Now, looking at the way you're talking, you said we should also make sure that we don't create a monster out of the media. If I should ask you, I know that you are a lawyer, I wouldn't want to give a yes and no answer. But if I should ask you, if I still have to risk and ask you, do you see media dictatorship in Ghana?
Well, in fact, you were once
a journalist.
Yes, you have used in fact, Justice Pega, in one of his writings, used media terrorism. Yes, Pega, terrorism says it's a very serious thing.
It's a very serious
media one. Terrorism. What I always believe in the plurality of the media. I believe that it is very important. I believe it is vital. But I believe that it also has a responsibility. And there's always a balancing act. We must balance the rights that we enjoy with the responsibility we have towards the society.
Do you see the media doing this balancing act individually?
Sometimes I don't.
You don't?
Yeah. Sometimes I don't. That's why sometimes...
and it worries you?
Of course, because, you see, when we were studying journalism, we were told that journalist, editor is a gatekeeper.
Yes, clear.
As a gatekeeper, you decide. Sometimes, like in the Bible, we have the right to everything, but not everything is good for us. Yeah. It's everywhere, and the same thing. Sometimes you must exercise. See, that's the more reason why sometimes when people say they are professionals, the lawyers will say you are not. Because, you see, why do you just relay what somebody has just said without thinking about it and looking at the repercussions? You just say, as for me, I'm reporting. You are reporting danger, and you think you must report it.